welcome back to guitar class. Today we're going to do arpeggio. We're going to do a lot of it. So for arpeggio, remember the right hand position has the thumb off to the side and on the bass note, so on the lowest note. Then you'll use these three fingers to do the rest. Normally people use the index, the middle, and the ring fingers to play the arpeggio. If you want to use your pinky, that's fine too. But let me give you an illustration. So up here on top of your either your pickups or on your classical style or acoustic guitar, right over the sound hole, you're going to have the thumb, as I said, on that bass note, and you'll strike with this side of the thumb. So as you're looking at your thumb, it should be the left side. This is often why guitarists have very long thumbnails. And you want to turn your hand this way so that the fingers are pointing in the downward direction, not like this. Now, if your style is to play like this and you're already established, then good for you. But for the rest of us learning, it's important to get this technique down because this shape allows us to pluck individually with our fingers like this. So the fingers actually tuck into the hand. So that's arpeggio. And what we're going to do today is we're going to strike the bass note and play a little bit with the other three fingers and then play a bass note and so on and so forth. And what we're going to do is we're going to move around a shape. So let's move now so that we can see the fretboard. And up here, I'm going to use the D major shape. The tab would read X00232. So, what I'd like you to do is play or so the very first pluck is the D string and the high E string together at the same time. So thumb and ring finger pluck at the same time. The next note is the B string and then the G string. So what you should do is, on the very first time, you'll play with your thumb, and then we go in a descending fashion to the B string, then to the G string, and repeat without the thumb. Okay, so in total, let me go fast, slow, and then fast again. Now slowly. Fast again. So you can add that little E string at the very end, so like that if you want. That doesn't really matter to me. What matters is that you are practicing the right hand form as curved as you can make it, and the left hand is holding that shape consistently. So we're now going to take that D major shape and we're going to slide it around. So in order to do that, let's take the left hand and let's change position. So instead of having it with the index, middle, and ring fingers, let's free up our index finger by replicating the shape using the middle, the ring, and the pinky instead. So the index is free. All right? You should be able to play something like that without your index. And the reason we're doing that is for the core of today's class, which is moving your left hand while playing your right hand constantly. So as long as we are holding the left hand shape and playing the same exact strings on the right hand, you can change this arm without adjusting this arm at all. So to illustrate, let's try moving it a little slower. We'll take that movable D major shape, and we're going to include that thumb on the D string. And let's move it. So this position is D major. But if we were to take the whole shape and move it up by 1 fret, it would be D sharp. Except now the strings that we're not holding are not playing the correct notes we want. So here, when it was D major, A was okay, D was okay. And these 3 on the bottom we're holding, so it doesn't really matter. But when we go up here to the 3rd fret, if we try playing the A note and the D string and then the chord, the 3 notes we're holding, it sounds weird, right? So to get around that, we need to include our index finger 2 frets below the middle finger on that D string. Okay? So that becomes our new bass note. In this case, D sharp. So we're playing the last 4 strings only, which is the important thing about using the right hand fingers. So that would be D sharp. Here's D. And I go up by 1 fret. So now let's try building the natural note scale on D. So that means we're only going to play D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. But we're going to play them as chords. Okay? We're going to play them all as major chords. So it isn't technically the natural note scale because we're turning them all into major chords. But I digress. Let's just play the same shape for every alphabet letter above D until we get to D again. So here's D. The next one we need is E, so that's 2 frets above. So we're going to slide the shape up. There we go. We're going to put our index down on the D string on the 2nd fret, and that's going to be our new bass note. It's also going to be E, so that's a good way to remember. Got that? So again, we moved from the D position on the 2nd fret 2 frets up to play E, and we use that index finger to establish the bass. Let's keep going. Let's go to F, which is going to be right next door, up by 1 fret here. Then we'll go to G, 2 frets up. And A is 2 frets up. B is 2 frets up. C is 1 fret up. And finally, D again will be 2 frets above C, right here, 12. So if I were to play it sequentially without words, here we go. There you have it. So that's how you play D shape all the way up the neck. And it works really well because as long as you're hitting only the strings you're holding, you know it's safe. Again, if you're hitting only the strings that you're holding, in other words, left hand holding strings, right hand is striking the ones you're holding. As long as those 2 things are constant, it's going to sound good, okay? At least if you're trying to play all major chords. So now what we have to do is the same thing for all the other shapes. So we just did D, and now we want to do, let's say, E. So we probably know this one already. So here's the E major position, right? 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 0. But we're freeing up that index already because we're preparing to move. So for this arpeggio, we'll put the thumb on top and these 3 fingers on the next 3 strings. So just like this. Index on A, middle finger on D, and ring finger on the G strings, okay? So we will, maybe for this one, we'll just pluck them. If there are any Final Fantasy VII fans out there, I think it's the Avalanche theme song. I can't remember the exact chords, but it starts on this E shape, right? With that same style. Here, we're playing the E shape. And just like with the D shape, we don't want to play any strings we're not holding when we move. Again, we don't want to play any strings we're not holding with the left hand after we move, unless we know they're going to work in the chord. Okay, so here's your E shape. And now let's play F, which is up by 1 fret. And we're going to use that index finger on the E string to produce that F note. That's our bass note. Next we need G, which is up 2 frets. Then A is 2 frets up. Then B is 2 frets up. C is 1 fret up. D is 2 frets up. Then E on the 12th fret. Now let's try doing it double time now that you're getting probably a little more confident. Let's just go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E again, all major because of this shape. And we're just gonna keep changing that index finger, right? So we're gonna keep making sure that that index finger stays 1 fret below where our middle finger is. Again, we're making sure that index is on the E string, 1 fret below that middle finger position. That gives us our bass note. And I'll call out the notes as we go. Here we go. E to F to G to A to B to C to D Now you're ready, let's try again. E to D to F to G to A to B to C to D to E again. All right, you can do that at whatever speed you like, but just to give you an idea of how to move, all of them are major chords. You're playing every alphabet letter note, starting on 1, so starting on E, until you hit E again. And you might ask, how do you know where those chords are? How do you know which one was A, which one was B? Well, just like we did in the very, very beginning, in the earlier lectures, I know what the notes are because of the string names. So because the top one is E, I memorized the fact that E has no sharp, so the next note up has to be F, and that B has no sharp, so the next note up has to be C. To illustrate, E string. The next possible note is on that first fret, and that's F. The next one would be F sharp, so I'm going to skip over that to get to G. Again, the next one would be G sharp, so I'm going to skip over that to get to A. The next one would be A sharp, I'm going to skip over it to get to B. And because I remember that B has no sharp, the next fret up has to be C. Then we skip over C sharp to get D, skip over D sharp to get E. And that's how it works, okay? So that rule applies for all 6 strings. If you can remember that, then you're golden. Honestly, if that's the one thing you take away from guitar class, then that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but hey, it's a good thing to take away. B has no sharp, E has no sharp. As long as you remember that, all these strings are super simple. Even the A string, right? A, gotta skip over A sharp to get B. B is right next to C, so there's C on the 3rd fret. Skip over to get to D, skip over to get to E. Right next door is F. Skip over to get to G, and skip over to get to A. And you can do this over and over and over again until you get faster. And it's really important that you do. And that's why we cover it early in the lecture, so you do the chromatic scale and the natural note scale, so you can quickly start to associate the frets with the correct notes. But anyway, how do we keep going with the chords? Well, we just play them. So we just did D and E, and now we need to do some other shapes. So let's try playing the A shape. So let's move the A major shape around. This one is 0022220. And we're going to use our thumb on the A string here, index on the D string, middle finger on the G string, and ring finger on the B string. Okay? And let's go ahead and play it in sequence like that. So just like that. Thumb, index, middle, pinky. Ring, sorry. And your arpeggio will sound so much better when you pluck the thumb here, instead of scraping. Push. Okay, so we're going to play the A shape. We're going to start here. We're going to free up our index because that's going to become our bass note. You're starting to notice a trend, I hope. So right now, the open A is our bass note. What's the next fret position we need to play B? Well, A has a sharp, so we skip over that to get to B, 2nd fret. And our index has to take over on the A string, 2nd fret. C is right next door. D is 2 frets up. E is 2 frets up. It's going to get tricky as the frets get smaller. F is right next door. G is 2 frets up. And finally, A is 2 frets up on 12. And to make it work, you kind of have to curve these fingers so that they vertically stack. It's very tricky. And you'll notice a lot of guitarists, a lot of advanced guitarists have their hand way out in front. And that's what you want. You want your whole hand basically exposed. So this position here with your wrist all the way out forward is actually correct. This tight arm pulled back, shoulder in the socket kind of thing is very uncomfortable. It's not ergonomical. You want your arm to be relaxed and in front as much as possible because that gives you more wrist action and also allows more straight down pressure with your fingertips. So that was the A position. We're 3/5 of the way there. We did D, we did E, and we did A. Let's do G now. So let's go straight into our movable shape. We have our middle, ring, and pinky working it. 3-2-0-0-0-3. Now this one is pretty tricky because you can only play those 3 strings with or without that index finger. So if we do it like this, where we don't even use the index finger, or maybe we do it like this, then we're just going to focus on 3 strings, okay? If we wanted to include the index, we would be using it on the G string this time, because the G string is normally open in the G major chord. So when we move it, we need to make sure that that G is also changing as we go. So let's try. This is G right here. Again, 3-2-0-0-0-3. And when we move it, we want to be striking the E, A, G, and E strings. Here Here we go. Let's go G, or just pluck them at once. Now we're going to move to A, 2 frets up. And if you want to include that G, you have to put the index down 2 frets down. And that works fine. So that's A, that's an A chord. B would be 2 frets above that. Quite the stretch. C is up 1 more fret. D is up 2 more frets. E is up 2 more frets. F is 1 more fret up. And G is 2 more frets up. Very tricky chord shape to move along the guitar, but very useful because it sounds special. And because it's hard to do, chances are you're going to sound kind of unique playing it. Not a lot of people are going to be using this to move around. Okay? So that's pretty neat. We have the C position now, the C shape to do. And again, if you want to use the movable shape, you can. So if we are going to use our index finger, it's probably going to be an inversion of the C movable shape instead of starting with the root in the bass. Meaning, if we use the index here, C will not be in the bass. So for this, I recommend just doing the normal C major shape, and we'll just pluck the 3 notes, the 3 tones, on the A string, the D string, and the B string. Okay? You can use your middle or your ring finger to play that B string, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. All right, so let's get to it. Here's C, 0, 3, 2, 0, 1, 0. To play D, we're going to move those 3 strings in this shape up 2 frets. So there's D. Don't believe me? Play the D shape. Yep, that's D. Then we're going to play E 2 frets up, F 1 fret up, G 2 frets up, A 2 frets up, and B 2 frets up, before playing C again on 13. There you go. Let's try that again. So C major at the bottom, D, E, F, G, A, and B, and C. That one's the easiest, and you'll see guitarists playing that all the time. Either that or the E major shape changing, okay? So that's it. You played all of them, C, A, G, E, and D, all of the shapes, all the way up the fretboard. Get used to playing all of them, because when you can interchange them, so when you can play them back to back, you can play the same thing and create the illusion that you're playing something different. Remember what we said about, say, the G shape, right? So down here, actually sounds really nice on its own. It's a great sounding chord. But not what we did. We did like that. And that's A. So when you are playing an A chord, using the A shape, and then you play the same thing with the G shape, nothing changed, but your hand did, right? Oh, okay, something changed. But the notes didn't change. Not really. Your hand changed. And so that can create the illusion that things are moving when they're not, actually. It's just the same exact thing. Let's take that C shape too, and let's find the A with the C shape. And this right here is the core of the class. I'm counting in my head. C, sharp, D, sharp, E, F, sharp, G, sharp, A. There it is, on 10. So I'm holding the number 10 in my head with the C shape. So C shape at the 10. Like that. And I'm going to play all three. So the first one would be A. Open to A position. Then I'm going to play the G shape. Then I'm going to play the C shape all the way up here. Totally the same chord, totally the same notes, but different positions on the guitar, and they make your playing sound more diverse. They make you sound like you're actually capable of improvising, playing in different areas, and also you want to use your whole guitar. So many guitarists play only here on the first 3 to 4 frets. Their whole life they play just here. My father was one of them. And I think the more people get up the fretboard, the better, because there's so much magic that happens up here that people don't give enough attention to. Okay, so one of the ways to get there is to play these shapes all the way up. So this is for advanced guitar. We're going to piggyback off of the major chord moving and go into the minor chords moving around. So we'll just quickly do all of them. It'll take us about 5 minutes, and then you have the rest of the time to practice the major and the minor. Okay, so this is a special challenge to do the minor shapes too. So let's start with D minor. Okay, so we're going to move the shape all the way up the guitar. Starting down here with minor, D minor. The tab would read X00231. And I don't care which arpeggio you use in the right hand, just choose one that works consistently for you. Okay, now whether that's plucking or playing individually. I don't care. But let's move it around. And remember, if we want to be able to use the lower bass note, if we want to play the D string as well, we need to use this shape. So freeing up our index finger to play that bass note. So let's get started. That was D minor. Now let's move up 2 frets to play E minor. Notice I'm putting that index on the D string 2nd fret to play the bass note. My right hand is playing thumb on the D string. 1 more fret gives us F. 2 frets gives us G. 2 frets gives us A. 2 frets up gives us B. 1 more fret gives us C. And 2 more frets gives us D minor again. Good? Next, we're going to do the A shape. So let's take the A shape here. This would be major, 0022220. But we want A minor, so we have to drop the B string. That's this one. So we have to play this. So now the tab would read 002210. And we're going to use that index to play the bass note on the A string. So right now it's open, the A string is open. So here's A minor right here. We're going to climb up that keyboard, climb up step by step, no sharps, no flats. A, 2 frets up gives us B, so slide up 2 frets, stick your index on the A string 2nd fret, and that's B minor. 1 more fret gives us C. 2 more frets gives us D. 2 more gives us E. 1 more gives us F. 2 more gives us G. And finally, 2 more to the 12th fret gives us A minor again. Let's try that one again. It's super fun, super easy. So A minor, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A again. Okay, so that was D minor, A minor. Now let's do some of the trickier ones. Well, no, let's do the last easy one, E. So E major was 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 0. But for E minor, we're going to do 0, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 2. And that gives us E minor. So let's move the shape. Here's E minor. Up 1 fret gives us F. So slide up and put your index down on that first fret to give F minor. And remember, only strike the top 3 strings. Because that 4th string down, the D open, is not part of the F chord. So just the top 3. So here's F. 2 frets gives us G. 2 frets gives us A. 2 frets gives us B. 1 fret gives us C. 2 more gives us D. And 2 more gives us E again. Super easy. This is your power chord, okay? A lot of you have been looking forward to this one. Very easy to do. Let's do it again. So E minor at the bottom, top 3 strings only. F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. Rock on. So now we have A minor, D minor, and E minor done. The last 2 are the tricky ones, C and G. So with C minor, we had to drop down the D string. So it looks like this. It's a very peculiar shape with the ring finger exposed like that. The pinky is playing on the A string, the index is playing on the D string, and the middle finger is playing on the B string. It's very peculiar indeed. And so we're only going to be striking the A string, D string, and B string. So A string, D string, B string. And for the sake of simplicity, we're going to keep it just like this as we move around. And we're going to use our thumb and our index to play the notes. You can do this if you want. Just be careful that you don't accidentally hit the E string or the G string, okay? Because it's very easy to do so. All right. So that's C minor. Tab would read X, 3, 1, X, 1, X. So let's move. Here's C minor. Up 2 gives us D. Up 2 gives us E. Up 1 gives us F. 2 gives us G. 2 gives us A. 2 gives us B. And 1 more gives us C again. Let's try that again, down here at the bottom. C minor shape. Moving to D. To E. E to F is 1 fret. To G is 2. To A is 2. To B is 2. And to C is 1. Okay? Okay, whatever you got to do. That's C minor. Last one is G minor. So with G minor, we had to remove the B. We had to make the B a B flat. And that was being held by the index. So we actually had to shift and make it a stretch. So we're going to play the top 2 strings and the last string, and that's all we're going to do for this. So G minor is 3, 1, X, 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 3. So this is G in the open position, G minor. A, B, one more fret to give C, 2 to give D, 2 to give E, one more F, and then 2 more for G. I actually enjoy this one quite a bit. So let's do that again, the G minor all the way at the bass, so at the root, the bottom of the guitar, G minor, up 2 frets for A, up 2 frets for B, 1 fret for C, 2 frets for D, 2 frets for E, 1 fret to get to F, and 2 to get to G. And I think you're starting to get the picture here, all right? One thing that happens for a lot of beginning guitarists is they lose their shape in their hand. And you may have noticed this, that as you move around, as you try these different things, because the frets are getting smaller and smaller, your hand doesn't seem to adjust automatically, and that's normal. Give yourself time and practice, and the fingers will develop the dexterity, and you will develop the confidence to go into the shape and hold the shape as it moves around. It's really important to practice that. Okay, and that's it. That's your challenge. So you got C, A, G, E, D all in the major and the minor, and you can move them around on the fretboard. This is really critical, a big lecture, a big day, and I hope that you enjoy it because it will make your playing so much better. All right, enjoy.